Good morning, Austin, and welcome back to another episode of the Real Estate Today Show. I am sitting in for Jason this weekend. My name is Matt Young, and I have in studio with me from Barton Creek Lending, Matt Powers.
What's going on?
And I also have one of our RE/MAX Elite agents, Joe Bernhard.
Hello, hello.
So there's a couple interesting, we always like to start the show off with interesting facts. So the interesting fact that I found was that I was looking online last night, and this is crazy. Maybe it's just me. I don't know. But there was a fact about Central Park in New York. So I've never been to New York. Has anybody been to New York?
Yes, I have.
Have you guys been to Central Park?
Yeah.
I heard it's massive. Like it's a big, like, and it's in
it's
like in
big.
downtown, right?
Right.
It's not,
Yeah, you can get
on the
lost in there.
outskirts.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's just a big rectangle, and the whole concrete jungle is around it.
Yeah, it's basically the only trees in sight for concrete jungle, like he's saying.
Yeah, because I've
Only
seen it on
vegetation.
I've seen it on Google Earth before. That's about as close as I've gotten to Central Park. And so I was reading this thing. It says that the estimated value of Central Park, the real estate value, is over $5 trillion.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
I mean, there were a lot of zeros in there. I was counting, I was like, okay, this is the hundreds, this is the thousands.
Help get us out of debt.
It would a little
Does
bit.
Donald Trump own it?
I don't think so. I don't know who owns it, but it says that it's worth over $5 trillion is what the estimated value of that real estate would be if they decided to sell it. I don't even know what they would do with it. Probably build more apartments. But so that's kind of an interesting fact that kind of blew me away a little bit last night. I don't know about you guys if that's kind of crazy, but $5 trillion is a lot of money.
A lot.
I want to own that piece of land for a day.
Well, it'd be a shame if they got rid of it. It's only vegetation they have in the city.
Other than like the little trees that they have parked on like the sidewalks.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be pretty bad. So we'll start off kind of here with Mr. Powers. So how long have you been in the mortgage industry for?
Let's see. I got licensed in 2005, towards the end of 2005. And back then, things obviously were a lot different before the 2008 kind of meltdown that happened. But I worked at an independent broker shop with a buddy from college that started it, and did that for a few years until stuff kind of hit the fan there with the bailout and all that, and then kind of got into retail after that and different mortgage companies, and here I am back to kind of a hybrid broker, mini correspondent situation with Barton Creek Lending.
Okay. So you're kind of, I know your counterpart is Chris Beltran.
Right.
Who's been on the show before. He's, one of your...
Oh, yeah. I've been a business partner of his for quite some time, probably at least 10 years now. And, I mean... not only a friend, but he's a mentor in the business that, definitely has taught me a lot of things, man.
Awesome.
Great guy.
Chris is a great guy. So we're going to cover some mortgage stuff today on the show. So I know everyone's waiting to hear about that because it's a fun topic. It actually is a pretty fun topic. If you
Get your popcorn ready.
Get your
If you
popcorn
make it
ready.
fun.
Yeah.
If you make it fun, and we're going to make it fun today. We're going to make it informational. So Joe, let's go over to Joe. Let's give Joe a little time. So Joe, what kind of, what got you into real estate?
Well, it's a pretty wild story how I got into it. I was got out of high school and didn't know really what I wanted to do, so went and started selling some cars. And I sold some cars for Scott Elder, Dream Cars. And after that, went into plumbing a little bit just for some side work. And then at a bar, I met this lady who introduced me to Jason, the broker that I'm with, and basically he just took me under his wing, and the rest is history.
So you've been with, I know that he's kind of mentioned it, you've been with RE/MAX and Jason since like day one.
Oh yeah.
Like you're one of the few, like the original.
Oh yeah.
One of the
I helped
original
build
ones.
the company.
Yeah.
OG.
Probably one
Joe's been a great asset to the company. He's very knowledgeable with real estate. He's got a couple big deals going on right now, which we're going to kind of dive into a little bit later in the show. But Joe is, I really like working with Joe. He's up at the office. We get along great. But he's a great agent. Always takes care of his customers. Always has them first and foremost, which is what everybody in the studio today with Matt and Joe and myself, that's the number one thing we want to do with real estate, at least with our company.
Most important thing is
always customer service. I know Matt, he's, his phone was going crazy before he came in today, and I'm sure Joe's is going to be going crazy. But
definitely,
we're always working. Doesn't matter day or night, weekend, not a weekend. We're always there to help our customers and get them exactly what, they want to do. Or get them into what they want. So, Matt, I know you have like an NLMS number, I believe. That's your national.
It's the new way of like a licensing. Back when I got licensed, you just got a regular license number, but now they're calling it NMLS, and it's just another way of new rules, new laws that kind of came into place, and everything's a lot stricter guidelines now, and different laws that have come into place to help protect the consumer, and everything is just.
Now, is that more after like 2008?
Definitely, yeah.
When they started really tightening up on what they were. That's
exactly right. Yeah, things got cracked down, and it needed to, and here we are, and at the end of the day, it's obviously helping everybody out, and the economy's bounced back tremendously, and I mean things are on the up and up, looking great.
I mean, yeah, if you just look at what's kind of going on in the Austin market now for real estate, it's 200,000 is kind of that magical number, I think, at least from what I'm seeing. That's the ones that are, there's not enough on the market, it seems like. They come on the market, within 2-3 days, they have like 7 offers on it.
For sure. It's tough to get. You need a good agent to go in there and make sure that you get the right house on that price.
Yeah, and so, I mean, we're getting a lot of investors. I think that you've dealt with some investors, Joe, that are always looking for a deal. And I think that's kind of the thing that's going on with Austin, because Austin's growing. I heard something on the radio this morning, actually, that we're the number one, Austin, Texas is the number one tech city in the country right now.
I believe it.
It used to be San Francisco, but now it's Austin, Texas.
Well, it's just growing so much. All the big companies are coming, Apple, Dell, and it just brings a lot of jobs into Austin. That means just more people looking for houses. That's why there's so many new builders out there just expanding. Hutto's came up. Gerald is even coming up. So, I mean, there's a lot everywhere around Austin is being affected by the market.
It's a good thing, too. I mean, I've noticed, I moved here 3 years ago. I'm one of the people that came from the West Coast. I'm the one that everyone's like, go back to California, go back to wherever you came from. I'm one of those people. I fell in love with Central Texas when I was in the military, when I was stationed up at Fort Hood. Just loved the place, loved it down here, loved the atmosphere. Austin was still like the hot spot, but it wasn't. There weren't people moving here in the numbers they are now. I think the last thing I saw was like 150 to 160 people a day.
Was that in like the 1960s?
It was not the 1960s. It was like 2000.
I heard the same thing about Round Rock, too. Like, Round Rock's like just blown up.
Round Rock's so going crazy, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Round Rock's a great place to, for investors to go in, take a $180,000 house and flip it into $240 and just, it's doing some simple things.
They're doing a good job with it. I know around the place that I live at, there's always houses going up for sale. And they're all, a couple days on the market, and then all of a sudden the sign's gone. Which is a good thing for them. A lot of moving trucks, but that's okay. I guess if you're in the moving industry, it's good for you too. But I moved here because of the job market, and the real estate was a lot cheaper than it was in the state that I was living in Arizona. And I know our listeners are sick of it, but that's right. That's where I lived at. I lived in Arizona for 5 years and bought a house there, and thought this is where it's going to be at. And then 2008 happened, 2009, and it just kind of kept tumbling. And we decided to move here, and we love living here. I mean, this is the place to go if you're young.
Oh yeah,
and you're got
even if you're old.
Yeah, even if you're older, come on down. It's a great time, and I know my parents who live in Nevada are talking about moving down here in a couple years. And the healthcare is another big thing. I mean, we've got some of the best hospitals in the country and best universities in the country that are downtown Austin. So medical is always a good thing for the retiring. When people retire,
it's like the quality of life here is kind of like I've been around a lot of places around Texas, but it just seems like there's so much more stuff. It seems like that you can do here, especially free stuff. As far as enjoying things outside, nature stuff, let alone the music scene.
Oh yeah, that's a huge factor.
Crazy.
It brings in a ton of people. So
yeah,
people come in for South by and they see what how great Austin is, and then they're like, well, I just want to move here. And then that's why so many people from out of state just come in. And
I moved here without job. I moved here without a job.
Same here.
My wife had a job, and I was like,
Yeah.
okay, we're going. And we picked the date, and we just said we're going. And we knew that the job market down here is going, it's booming. And there's, like we said earlier, with all the tech companies, I mean, you have Dell, who's been here for, ever, and they're all over the place. Mm-hmm. But I think with the more and more, as we get more and more companies coming in, more and more of these bigger companies, we're going to see the market continue to go up, in my opinion.
Oh, yeah.
I think that it's going to continue to go up. And, it's a great time right now for people looking to buy a home. The rates are,
The rates are phenomenal.
Rates are great that they've been in, the last, 4 or 5 years?
Man, since the Great Depression. For real.
It was a long time ago. But it's a good thing. And we're going to dive more into the actual kind of the mortgage field and right after our break here. And we're really going to kind of go into it and see exactly where it's going and what people can do and what's the process that they can expect. Because a lot of people buy their first home, they don't really know what the process is. And it's daunting. I remember when I bought my first house, I had no clue. So we are going to take a quick break, but if you want to go online, our website for RE/MAX Elite is austinelitehomes.com, and then you can always go onto our show page and see the video of us in studio, so you can see what Matt Powers and Joe Bernhard and I look like on Facebook.com at the Real Estate Today Show. So we'll be right back.
Welcome back to Real Estate Today. Here's Jason Randall.
And welcome back to the Real Estate Today Show. I am the guest host this week, Jason Randall, or actually Matt Young, not Jason Randall. Jason's out today. So I'm here joined in studio with Mr. Matt Powers from Barton Creek Lending.
Hello.
And I also have from RE/MAX Elite, one of our top agents, Joe Bernhard.
yes, sir.
So I know we talked about before the break, we are going to talk a little bit about mortgages. That dreaded word that everybody hears.
It's fun stuff.
That, mortgage, 30 years, you're going to be making that payment. That's
If you choose that one. Yeah.
That's the one that got me when I bought my first home. Like, I saw it and I was like, oh, it's a long time. It's a long time.
Well, mortgage in Latin stands for death grip, right? Mortal engaged.
No, it doesn't.
wow.
Yeah.
It stands for death grip.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
That's scary.
Little inside joke there.
Yeah.
That's kind of dark.
No, it's great. It's to me, it's the most risk-free way of investing your money. Not only it's a roof over your head, but you got to look at it like down the line, especially in Central Texas and anywhere in Texas for that matter. I mean, really, do you think it's going to depreciate around here? I mean, come on, and you're putting your money away at a fixed rate. What are you really risking unless you just decide not to make the payment or,
We saw that
things
in
like
2008.
yeah, exactly. So
I always think of it like you're just depositing money into a bank every month.
there you go. And it's making you money at a really, really low rate.
Oh, yeah.
It's not the best investment plan, but it's one of them. So I know that the rates right now are lower than they have been in a while. And they just had a little bit of an uptick, I believe.
Right.
So now I know you can't go into specifics of it.
Right.
But if you have someone that's out there listening right now who's, I really want to see if I can, qualify for a home, how do they get in contact with you?
It's real simple. My website is lendingpowers.com. Simple as that. You can memorize it. You can go there. It pings over to our company account with Barton Creek Lending. You can safely and securely put in your application. My cell phone number is 512-573-0530. Call me anytime. As long as that cell phone's on, which it normally is, I'm typically up till 11, 12 o'clock at night, usually working just about almost every single day anyway. So feel free to reach out at any time.
And they can also text you at that number, correct?
That's correct.
So if they do forget the website, they can always text you at that number and say, "Hey, Matt, want to apply online." And it's a real simple process.
Oh yeah,
it's real easy. I did it when we were looking to buy a house here, and it's very simple.
How long does an application take?
I mean, typically you're going to know everything off the top of your head when you're going in there. If you have a spouse or a co-applicant on there, it's going to take you 5 minutes. It's going to definitely take you less than 10 minutes for sure.
Yeah, 5 minutes to see where you're at.
If you know what your social and your birth date and where you work and stuff like that, I mean, you could whip right through it.
So then once they apply, and we're going to kind of go through the whole process here because I got two experts sitting across the table from me, and I want to know, like as a consumer, kind of once I apply with you, Matt. Now I've talked with Joe, right? He's my agent,
right?
He wants me to buy. We want to buy a house. I want to buy a house. So I talk with Joe, and Joe says, "Hey, go get pre-approved."
We'll kind of see what kind of payment you're comfortable with, and then that's whenever Matt will help you out and say, where you're at and what kind of payment that you're looking at.
So I apply with Matt. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So then after I apply, what happens next?
Yeah, that's a great question. So a common misconception out there is somebody's like, hey, I need a pre-approval letter. Or, there's differences between a pre-qualification letter and a pre-approval letter. So, when you're on the fly and you're saying, hey, based off a hypothetical situation of what I entered in your application, can I get a loan? Well, I can run it, go off of what you put it in there, and give you a pre-qualification letter. So, yeah, based on this information, you should be good to go. But if you wanted to take it to a next level and actually kind of let me start going into a pre-underwriting level of it and actually have documents like income and assets and things like that in my hand, you could take it a whole step further and have that peace of mind knowing, my buying power going into it, a whole lot more confidence, and actually turn in your income and assets,
And that gives, us a little bit more power when submitting an offer to a house, because then the sellers will look at it like, okay, they're pre-approved instead of pre-qualled. So it's a
which
little
makes
bit
a
of
difference in the competitive market. I mean,
oh yeah, especially when you're looking at multiple offers on a house. That's always something that you want to get a step ahead.
Awesome. So then once we're applied, we get pre-approved. I know there's more documents. I know this is the part where it's like.
The fun part.
This is where, the DNA, I'm not kidding, not a DNA sample.
Yeah.
But this is where you have to give, you got to go in and correct me if I'm wrong, kind of like sometimes you have to bring in your taxes.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Sometimes I know you have to do like work history with pay stubs. And then your checking and savings account. I didn't know this when I bought my house that I needed to give like them bank records to see like how much I had in the bank at the time, which was really kind of shocking to me. And I think people might forget that part. Like,
right.
Yeah, hey, my credit's really great. I got a 750 credit score, but I have no money in the bank. That there can stop the actual home buying process, correct?
Oh, yeah, definitely. And that's one reason why we like, even before the customers taking out and looking at homes all over the city is at least get an idea to say, okay, hey, how much are we working with here? I mean, are you looking for a USDA loan and we're trying to structure the deal with zero down? Because that's something I definitely would need to tell Joe or any realtor to say, hey, look, don't be looking at properties that he can't bring X amount of dollars to. So that's why you need to have that conversation up front, to be more efficient and actually, set the proper expectations.
Now you brought up like a USDA loan. And there are a ton of different loans, and we can have our own show.
Oh yeah,
a whole hour-long show
segment
about just the different loan types. But there are a lot of different options out there, and that's what Matt's there for. That's what Matt and Joe are going to help you guys kind of figure out. Is when you go to an agent and you talk with them, and then you go talk to, say, a Matt Powers or a Chris Beltran, they're going to give you the actual numbers. They're going to give you like, hey, this is what you can qualify, this is what you can't qualify for. And I think the other interesting thing is it's all done on gross numbers before taxes, correct?
That's correct.
Now, this might be, I don't know if you can answer this question, but why do they do gross taxes instead of net?
Well, that's just always how it's been, the underwriting guidelines. And the same goes to whenever you have stuff like Social Security income. There's certain incomes out there where you can actually gross them up. And typically it's 25%. But, a lot of it depends on how you do your taxes. So that's another reason why taking an application from a W-2 guy versus a self-employed guy is a totally different ballgame. And what's kind of good about, getting those tax returns up front, because that customer may have other properties that they own free and clear that they didn't mention on their application. They may have other Schedule C side businesses that you need to know about that may have a business loss that they failed to mention. It could be all kind of different things going on there. So even though the underwriter may not stip for it, it's good to have that up front. That way you can kind of prevent something from blowing up midway through the process.
Yeah, you don't want any surprises,
Exactly.
2-3 weeks before closing where
For sure.
all of a sudden the whole deal's gone.
Yeah.
That's not fun for anybody. It's not fun for the agents. It's not fun for you, and it's definitely not fun for the client, the people that are looking to buy their home. That's always something.
Yeah, I mean,
crazy.
I always recommend with my clients that, especially with the 1099 clients, they give their 1099 to the lender to let them take a look over it, see how they need to structure it, and pretty much go from there. Because the more insight they have beforehand, it will just tremendously help them out.
Yeah, because I know the mortgage process is very complex. And it might not be complex for you because you're in.
Well,
it
I mean,
every day.
it's you got to treat it real delicate. I mean, in the sense of being so thorough up front, it gets very meticulous. And honestly, I'm gonna tell you guys straight up. I mean, the hardest part of my job is explaining the whys to the customer. It's not necessarily saying, "Oh, hey, well, this is the best loan product for you," or "Here's some options," or "Here's how we need to structure a deal." I mean, that's easy, but it's simply sitting everyone down and saying, "Okay, hey, from A to B, this is why we're asking for it." That way you kind of eliminate all that doubt that could occur midway through the process, like what we're saying, something blowing up, or "Hey, why are you asking me for a letter of explanation because my credit was pulled," or things like that. So eliminating that doubt and kind of creating that confidence up front, saying, "Okay, hey, if we do 1 through 10 up front, the
rest of the process is going to be just that much
and you want that
easier.
peace of mind knowing, because that's a stressful and frustrating time. And we want to eliminate any and all of that up front as much as we can. That way, this should be a fun experience. In my opinion, I know that sounds
absolutely.
crazy. But
It should be. It should be a fun. It should be an exciting, fun, experience, especially for like first-time home buyers, or you're maybe moving up. You just sold your first house, and you want to move into a bigger house. Your family's growing, so anytime you're buying real estate, I think it should be a fun time.
Oh yeah,
it shouldn't be.
It's fun going out and looking at the homes and imagining, this could be my first home. This could be the one. And, if we get it, it's just amazing to see the smile on the client's face whenever they get the home that they want, and everything works out perfectly.
Oh, yeah, that's the best. I mean, I think anybody who's ever been in sales before knows that the best thing in the absolute world is having a customer who's just completely satisfied.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
hands down.
That's the it didn't matter if I was selling, 5 gallons of water in Arizona or working at Lowe's, or it doesn't matter. It's the same thing. It's seeing that customer come back and just being completely ecstatic and excited and happy and thankful.
Yeah.
Oh, that's why I got into sales, just helping people out, making them, happy and making a difference in their lives.
Yeah, and that's
a big thing.
That's the thing. I mean, buying a house, that's the biggest purchase you're going to make for your whole life.
Most
I mean,
likely.
that's going to be the biggest purchase you make. So having that excitement and having that fun, and yes, there are going to be stressful times in it. I think everyone's aware of that. There are going to be some times where it's stressful, but it's always supposed to be fun. It's your first house. It's supposed to be exciting.
The stressful part that I see in the process is really just the negotiating between the price, and if you're buying a resale and the repair list comes back and you need to negotiate the repairs. That's stressful.
We're definitely going to put a pin in that one because we're going to get back. We got to take a quick break real quick, but we'll be right back on the Real Estate Today Show.
Welcome back to Real Estate Today. Here's Jason Randall.
Welcome back to the Real Estate Today Show. I am the guest host this week, Matt Young, and I am joined in studio by Matt Powers from Barton Creek Lending.
Hello, hello.
And I'm also joined in studio with RE/MAX Elite Agent, one of our top agents, Joe Bernhard.
Hey there.
So we kind of touched in the last segment about mortgages, and we kind of want to get back into that, kind of finish up that conversation, because I think we left a lot of things kind of unanswered.
Yeah.
So we were talking about the process and how pre-approval and, how that helps and I think you said pre-approval, and then there's underwriting approval, things that you can go a little bit deeper into with getting fully approved. Ultimately, the goal is to get fully approved, clear to close, and then close on the house. So what's kind of the time frame for someone after they put in an application to actually getting to the point where they're clear to close? What's kind of your average time frame that you're seeing right now?
Nice. Yeah, sort of a loaded question, but definitely I can understand where you're coming from because a lot of people ask that. But I would answer that with, did the customer turn in everything that we kind of asked for up front? Mm-hmm. Now, before we know what the underwriter is going to stip us for, which obviously we probably have a clue with like simple, protocol letters of explanation and, trailing conditions like homeowners insurance policies and stuff like that. But, if a customer kind of stayed on point with it and got you stuff within a day or two of when all that went down, like say somebody gave me the contract, it's fully executed and we're ready to roll, and I got all my docs from that customer. Mm-hmm. I mean, the situation where we're at now, things are so fast. I mean, you could technically get it clear to close in a matter of 2 to 3 weeks easily, pending that the appraisal came in on time, mm-hmm. all the third-party people cooperated. The things that, we're at their mercy of is the appraiser's schedule, things like that, to getting them out there at the property. So the faster that the customer turns stuff in technically dictates how fast we can actually work.
Can you tell them about like what happens whenever the property doesn't appraise?
Great question. So obviously I go right back to the agent, and we try to negotiate a way of saying, okay, well, we obviously take a look at the comps and say, hey, I typically let the look at the comps and say, okay, hey, number one, are these comps accurate? Because we're all human. It's common sometimes for, something to be messed up on there or something like that.
Sure.
It happens, but rarely. And you go back to the drawing board of negotiating back with that seller and saying, okay, hey, are we going to lower the price to accommodate, or what are we doing? Is the customer going to have to come and pay the difference? And a lot of it depends on probably that initial offer, though, right? You know mm-hmm. what I mean? Is the customer willing to split the difference if it's in some high demand area? So
who usually pays for that?
Who of what?
The difference.
It all depends on how you're going to negotiate it on your side.
Okay.
Yeah. So we're kind of at a standstill a little bit on our end because we can only do so much. Now, there are ways, where if it's a situation where, if it came down to too much closing costs or they couldn't split the difference, then, if we needed to premium price the interest rate to help out and issue lender credits, that could be explored. But a lot of it mostly weighs on how, we're going to handle it with the seller first and then get that feedback and kind of go from there.
And I think that's kind of the interesting thing about the mortgage field is that there's no two cases that are exactly the same. There's no two applications that are the same. There's no two houses that are the same. It's kind of like being a real estate agent, in my opinion, is you're never going to have the same client twice. You know what I mean? Not the same client, but you know what I'm talking about. Same kind of case. It's all kind of, each one is their own individual thing. One might work for one client. Like Joe, you might have 2 or 3 clients that are looking at the same house. And one might like it, the other 2 might not. And I believe that's kind of how it is like in the mortgage world is you might have 2 people that almost fit that same kind of style, but they're going to be 2 different, 2 different loans, 2 different problem sets that could possibly come up because they're, it's not all cookie cutter and everything fits into the same box. And, this is what we did last time. We could fit it all in the same box. So that's where I think people kind of can get a little confused on it is, they might see a friend of theirs who's in the same situation they're in, but they might just have different different things. So that's kind of where it kind of gets interesting and can, there's no 2 loans are the same, I guess.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So once we obviously get all our documents turned into you, right? Get all my documents turned in, put everything in there. And I think we get this a lot on our end, Joe, and you might be able to say, yes or no to this, but clients are always wanting to know where they're at in the process and what's going on in that process.
Yeah, because it's always good to keep them updated because if they ask questions, then, I'm not doing my job keeping them updated.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of where we come in. That's where RE/MAX Elite comes in and Barton Creek Lending does the same thing is we want to make sure our customers know where they're at all the time. But
definitely.
You're not going to pick up the phone every time something changes in that. and call the customer. So I think people sometimes can get frustrated with it. I know I got frustrated when I bought my house, and we didn't know sometimes where it was, and there's just sometimes where Matt might not have anything to say, or there might not be anything to do at that point.
A lot of the time, they're just waiting on deadlines or something to happen, through underwriting and whatnot. So that's basically how it goes.
So basically, typically what I do is every time we hit a major milestone, I let all parties know, whether it's via email or picking up the phone. So things like, hey, the appraisal came back. Looks like we're at or above value. I let everybody know, even the listing agent, title people, and everybody know. That way we can all kind of gauge on, okay, well, what are the proper expectations of what's next?
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
And so, hey, yeah, your loan went into underwriting. We should have an answer within 48 hours, or it could be anything like that. So I think what's kind of attributed to some of my success is that exact concept, and saying, what always communication.
Yeah.
This is a relationship business just like anything else in sales. So creating that rapport up front, that way they know along the process, because nobody wants a whole week or even more to go by without any kind of news.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
Simply saying something, letting you know that, hey, yeah, just letting you know we're on track. The whole no.
Kind of puts them at ease a little bit. Now, you mentioned underwriting. Now, I don't know how far into underwriting you go, but like I hear underwriting and I don't, I don't really know what that is. And I'm sure some of our listeners don't really know exactly what underwriting is. So just a real, layman's term. I know you can get real technical.
I got a good analogy for that. So, when I'm talking, especially with my first time home buyers, it's sort of like, I'm sort of like their attorney, and we're going to court. We want to talk to the judge. So the underwriter's kind of like the judge. I get all the documents. I say, okay, hey, they're applying for the loan. Here's all their credentials. Here's what it's going to take to make the loan and get your approval. Now, the underwriter's going to come back. They're kind of the decision maker, yay or nay, right? So they're going to come back and say, okay, hey, yeah, it looks great. Looks like we need items, 1 through 5 to complete this, and we're good to go and get it a clear to close, like what you're saying. So that's basically, in a nutshell, what they do.
So they just get they're just making sure everything's
and
there.
Of course, let alone the compliance, the guidelines, and all the things that, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, and whatever that investor's guidelines are going to be, all that has to fall in line. So
there's
to make sure,
there's just for a real estate transaction, there's a lot of moving parts between mortgage, title, your appraisal, your home inspection, everything that there's going on. There's a lot of moving parts, and that's kind of where Joe comes in, and he's kind of the person that is going to let the client know exactly where they're at.
Oh yeah,
and that's something that he's really good at, and I know you are really good at that too. And that's something that kind of puts the client at ease a little bit. Like, okay, hey, I got a group of people working for me, and that's what we want to do. I mean, at Remax Elite, just where Joe and I work at, we got a whole team behind us. It's our broker.
Yeah, I mean, we're all a team, from the title company to lending. Even Beth, she is the transaction to close
Yeah, she's the one that handles all that. But I think that we're a good, solid team, and that's what we want. And we always put our customers first. We always make sure that they become our number one priority. And we have that team set up. And, Matt and Chris do a great job, and Marcus over at Priority Title do a great job. So, Matt, I know we talked about, how they can get a hold of you, but give them that website one more time just so they can go out there and get online and apply if they're looking to do that. And how do they get in contact with you?
Yeah, definitely. It's real simple, guys. It's lendingpowers.com. All one word. Lending Powers, kind of play on words. My last name is Powers. You can
It's with an S, right?
With an S. And my cell phone is 512-573-0530. Call me anytime. We can set up an over-the-phone consultation, or simply piggyback it off of your online app, just wherever you're at in the process.
Now, can they do refinances with you too?
Oh, of course.
So if you're looking to refinance your home, I would definitely give Matt a call. The guys over at Barton Creek, between Chris and Matt, do a really good job. So they're not just doing mortgage loans; they're also doing refinances, and they can, have a full conversation with you about that. Now, Joe, we haven't Joe here. How do they get in contact with you, Joe? If someone's looking to buy a home right now and they say, I like this guy because he sounds good on the radio.
Yeah, I mean, it's really easy. My cell phone number is 512-786-9213. That is 512-786-9213. And that's my cell phone. Just give me a call at any time. I'm available to go and just drop everything and help anyone out that needs to go see a home or that needs some information about a home. I'm just, I'm there for everybody. So
yeah, we're going to talk to Joe here in the last segment a little bit more, kind of get into what he's doing. I think, Matt's a little interested in that. Both the Matts are interested. It's not we had a show recently where there were 3 Matts on the show.
Oh, wow.
It was really
confusing.
It was confusing.
Middlestat.
Matt Middlestat. Yeah. There was another Matt, and then me, Matt. So there was a lot of Matts, but
it's a popular name.
It is, and you can always, get a hold of Remax Elite at 512-930-0000. There's a lot of zeros in there. Give us a call. We'll definitely be able to help you out. Or you can get on our website, which is austinelitehomes.com, or even on our Facebook page. We got, Remax Elite's Facebook page, and we also have the Real Estate Today Show Facebook page. So if you have any questions, feel free to get a hold of us, and we'll definitely take care of you. And right now, we're going to go to a break, and we'll be right back.
Welcome back to Real Estate Today. Here's Jason Randall.
All right, and welcome back to the Real Estate Today Show. I am filling in for Jason Randall today. My name is Matt Young. I usually am the executive producer / permanent guest on the show. That's my official title. So I'm pretty proud of that permanent guest title. Also, I have in studio with me this week is Matt Powers from Barton Creek Lending. And what's your NLMS number?
That is 410001.
Just legal stuff. We gotta get that out there for you.
Thing, definitely.
Legal compliance. We want to make sure he's not getting in any trouble because he's really good at what he does.
Sure.
And he's given his phone number. He'll give out his phone number here a couple times. This way you can get in contact with him. Really good at what he does. And he's there with Barton Creek Lending, mortgage officer, correct?
I'm a senior mortgage loan originator.
I
guess that's the technical term, yeah.
So you're a senior mortgage
loan originator.
Call us MLOs.
Say that 4 times fast.
Wow, that's a tongue twister.
Loan officer, loan originator. That's all the same thing.
He will help you with your mortgages.
That's right.
All around mortgage guy. I think that's a good one for you. I think you should tag that. I'm your mortgage guy.
Make a website out of
it.
Yeah. All right. Think about that.
All around mortgage guy.
So then we also have in studio with us, we're joined this week by Joe Bernhard of Remax Elite. He's one of our top agents over there. So we're really happy to have him in studio this week. So Joe,
thanks for having me.
Yeah, I'm excited. So we kind of talked mortgages for the last 2 segments. So let's talk kind of what's going on in Joe's world. What are you seeing right now with real estate in Austin? Or the Central Texas area.
Right now I would say that it's a buyer's market. There's a ton of people coming in, and so there's not enough listings out there that people are coming in. They're putting multiple offers.
Would that be a seller's market then, or a buyer's market?
Oh, well.
Is it a seller's market?
Yeah.
Okay, so you just get your words. That's okay.
Yeah,
I just wanted to make sure that no one out there is like, hey, wait a minute, we got multiple offers. So it's a seller's market right now.
Yeah, it's really beneficial to the seller. They can, get a lot more for their home nowadays because there's so many, more people interested in, the area, and it's...
we have like 160 people moving in here a day.
Oh, yeah.
And they're all going to need places to live. And so I think, like you were saying...
Oh, yeah. And, a big part of my business is new home building. I mean, that is something that is... it's very simple to, just take a client that they're, nervous about buying a house that's going to have some problems, that's a little bit older. They're going to have to go into the house and do some things to do it, to bring it up. But with new homes, you just go in there. It's you don't really have to worry about anything being wrong.
It's still a little stressful. I mean, I built a house in Arizona, and it's still a little
there's
stressful,
some moving parts, but it's a little bit more peace of mind.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely, because you don't have to come back and really negotiate all the repairs and make sure a 15-year-old house is going to be up to code. I mean, there's always something that can go wrong, and that's why I always recommend to my clients to get an inspection done on their new home, just to make sure. I mean, you can't ever trust anybody in this world. It's a cruel world.
You could give, and we actually use Mike Gage a lot, who's been on the show before, and he does a really good job, and he'll do new home inspections, and he's with Big Sky Home Inspections. So he's at bigskyhomeinspections.com. So give him a look if you're, like Joe said, looking to have an inspection done on a new home.
Oh, yeah, and the average cost for that's like around $300. So it's $300 to, really have a great peace of mind to know exactly what you're getting yourself into. And you don't want to get into a house that has a busted up AC or something like that. So it's always something I recommend. Other than that, if people want to go ahead and
how do they get a hold of you?
Oh, that's very easy. My email is joe@Austin Elite Homes. It's pretty much the same as the website for Remax Elite. And, my number is 512-786-9213.
And they can call or text you on that, right?
Yeah, that's my cell phone. It's my personal cell phone. They just call, text me so I can, have a very good relationship.
Joe does a great job. I have to give him a lot of credit on that. Joe does a great job with his clients. I don't think we've ever had a client that said Joe did a bad job. I mean, everybody loves Joe. He's probably one of the most laid-back guys you'll ever meet, but he gets the deal done.
Well, I think, part of that is because I'm very honest with my clients and just the whole transaction. Just want to make sure both parties are happy and we come to an agreement, because that's the most important thing, is really, reaching that end goal of getting into the house where everybody's happy. But, a lot of times it doesn't work like that. But most of the time it really does, and it makes it makes everybody happy.
Yeah, and that's the name, is just making sure our customers are happy. So,
yeah, I would say definitely of all the transactions I've done with Joe, one thing that kind of stands out is he's more of a belly-to-belly business kind of a guy. So I think that's huge and important that you got somebody out there that, at the end of the day, people are going to want to work with people that they like. Obviously you got to know your stuff, but when you flip that switch, I mean, it means the world, especially when you're dealing with a transaction that large.
Oh, yeah, and it's all about building trust and building a relationship with your clients, because if they, don't trust you and it's something that they're, not comfortable with, then they're just going to move on to another realtor, and that's something that, I don't want. I can't afford that, so I make sure that my clients are taken care of, and
And you actually have one of, I think, the bigger deals in the office going on right now.
Oh yeah.
With a new home, correct?
For sure. It's actually going to be a home in Leander in Crystal Falls. It's going to be about 6,500 square feet.
I've seen the floor plan for it. It's a pretty impressive house. I mean, this house is very impressive, and Joe has just taken it and owned it, and he's done a great job with it. And they've had their hiccups.
Oh yeah,
that would be
you always when you're designing a custom home, there's always going to be some hiccups in.
Now this is
process.
A fully custom home, correct?
Fully custom home.
So basically, they're building it from the ground up, drawing their own plans.
You got to have patience on.
Yeah,
this.
patience.
We just started with blocks on a paper. We were just, having my clients. I was like, what kind of home are you imagining? Yeah. And started drawing it up, and then we took it to Strata. It's a good builder, and they kind of drew it up for us in a more professional manner, and then we just started going from there and pricing things out and picking some designs out.
I told Joe, I was like, look, when this gets built, you got to get me into it at least once. I got to see this house, because I've seen all the drawings for it. He showed, it's an amazing house. I mean, it really is an amazing house, and Joe was able to take these, his buyers, and take them from, hey, I think they might even been looking for a resale house.
Yeah,
they couldn't find anything that met their criteria, I believe, right?
Yeah, so, I mean, we started out looking at an $800,000 house, and they needed 2 master bedrooms and a guest suite for their mother-in-law.
And that's a little rare.
So it is kind of hard to find. They are out there. But, whenever you're dealing with a client that knows exactly what he wants, that is, something you need to go custom build with.
And that's, a lot of clients know exactly what they want. It's just, I'm sure, Matt, when you bought a house, you knew exactly what you were looking for. When I bought a house, I knew exactly what my wife was looking for. Really didn't concerned what I was looking for. But she's
hey, happy wife, happy life.
She's way more detail oriented than I am, like completely more detail oriented than I am, and she was a lifesaver for me. So whatever she wants, she gets. But it's a stressful time anytime you're building a house and having somebody like Joe, who's that cool, calm, collected kind of guy. It helps out. It can put the clients at ease a little bit when things start to go sideways.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, we've had some help along the way, but some pushy people come in, and it really throws them off because they don't want to be forced into something that they don't want. Yeah. So it's really good that I've been walking them through this and making sure that every little detail is where it needs to be, because in the end, they're going to have a beautiful home that they're going to spend the rest of their life in. It's something that they preach. They want to die in the house.
And that's every client, I think. Every client wants to, every customer, every person wants to be able to come home and that be home. You hear that all the time where, it's a house. That's your home. That's where you can kind of your sanctuary.
Right.
I mean, that's your safe place out amongst, in the world, and that's your own little piece of land.
Yeah.
And so everybody wants that in their home, and that's, Joe takes that very seriously, and RE/MAX Elite takes that very seriously when we talk about things like that. So
that's one thing I wanted to mention too. I think the listeners need to realize that is that the agents that I've noticed at RE/MAX Elite, this isn't just a niche. Oh, hey, I'm a listing agent, or hey, I'm a buyer's agent. Like, it's a very diverse. I really think that everybody there, especially Joe. I mean, here's a prime example. You got to be like that to set yourself up like that, to be that successful and to be, that in high demand is, you're taking a client from resale to a custom home build and finding that niche that they're looking for, and not just be labeled as, hey, I'm just a listing guy, or hey, I'm a buyer's guy. You got to understand.
That sells yourself short, really. I mean, you got to be an expert in all fields if you're going to be an agent.
And the nice thing with RE/MAX Elite that I see is, and I'm a little biased because I work there, is we're a team. That's our first and most, we're a team. It's not just one agent. Joe's not out there just doing this by himself. He's got a whole team behind him working with him. Just like Nick, or the last agent we had, or Patricia, or Dan, all the agents that we've had in on the show, we're all behind each other. We're helping each other 100%. So you just don't get one agent. You get the whole company behind you, working to get you that house that you want. So we're going to wrap up for the week. I know we're sad to see you guys go. We love this, doing the show, and we'll be back next week. But before we leave, Matt, how do they get a hold of you one last time?
Best way is call or text or email. You can reach me at 512-573-0530. And then that website again is lendingpowers.com.
And Joe, real quick, what's your phone number again so they can call or text you?
It's 512-786-9213.
All right. Well, that will do it for this episode of the Real Estate Today Show. I want to thank both my guests, Matt Powers and Joe Bernhard, for coming in. And we will see you guys next week. Have a good week.